Welcome to my channel. Today I have a new topic for you all, that is the IISc's heat tolerant engineered subunit vaccine, which has the promise to combat COVID-19. So let me give you an insight of this particular heat tolerant subunit vaccine that has been developed by IISc Bangalore. So coming to the table of contents, so I'll give you a highlight about what are the subunit vaccines and what are the advantages of using subunit vaccines, and coming to the detail of IISc engineered subunit vaccine. How is this better? What is the progress done by this vaccine so far? What are the storage conditions that is required for other COVID vaccines that we have, some of those, and what are the effects of storage conditions on the stability of the vaccine by taking Moderna as an example, and few takeaway messages. So coming to vaccines, so definitely each one of you might be knowing about this now. Due to this COVID pandemic, everybody has understood the importance of vaccination. So vaccines are very, very important to combat various diseases, and there are different types of vaccines like live attenuated vaccines, killed vaccines, and many other types. So one more type of vaccine that is available is called as the subunit vaccine. So in this case, the whole organism is not used for the vaccine production, whereas the part of the organism will be used for the production of vaccine. So I'll give you a detail of how to produce this, but basically we will understand that the subunit vaccines are not that dangerous, or it cannot lead to diseases in comparison with vaccines if not produced properly. So coming to the IISc Bangalore vaccine that they have developed, so it is a subunit vaccine which is a protein subunit vaccine. Okay, and these subunit vaccines can be produced using recombinant DNA technology. It is a genetic engineering technique by which you can try to clone it in yeast cells or bacterial cells, the particular genes that are required, and you can try to produce this in a large scale. So in this way you can mass produce the vaccines and use it for the application. So when you talk about subunit vaccines, you will have to combine it with suitable adjuvants, so which are chemical compounds which are required to stimulate a stronger immune response. So in this particular case, if you use a subunit vaccine, you may also require certain booster doses to increase the immunity levels. So coming to how they are produced, so coming to the genetic code for antigen, so basically the spike proteins, okay, so we know that the virus has got spike proteins, so the gene for this particular spike protein can be isolated. So this particular gene from that organism will be taken, and that gene will be cloned in artificial cells. So like you can take yeast cells or bacterial cells of your choice, and through vectors you can try to clone this particular gene in suitable plasmids or vectors and try to insert that into the organisms, and this transformed organisms can be grown in something called as the bioreactors. So these are like your vessels within which you can clone these organisms and try to grow it in artificial conditions so that they can multiply easily and they can produce the proteins in large levels. So definitely if these cells are going to multiply within the bioreactors, as the cells are multiplying, the gene that you have introduced also multiplies, and the gene product is the protein, that is the spike proteins. So definitely once you have done this bioreactor synthesis, you can try to harvest the particular cells, disrupt the cells, isolate the protein, purify the protein, and later this purified protein is nothing but your part of the vaccine, which can be later combined with the adjuvants as I told you, and the subunit vaccine can be used in the liquid form, or if you want to increase the shelf life of this product, you can even freeze dry it. So this is the technique that is used for most of the biotechnological products for increasing the shelf life of the product. So this is nothing but the conversion of the liquid sample to a solid sample by sublimation. So by using the concept of sublimation, you can directly convert the liquid into solid powder and try to increase the shelf life of the product. So this is what is the details of how exactly a subunit vaccine can be produced, and once you freeze dry it, how you can increase the shelf life further. So coming to few advantages of subunit vaccine, these are much safer, they are easy to manufacture, and they are do not cause any diseases, and they can be used as adjuvants to increase the immune response, and these are beneficial in this way. So I thought of highlighting the subunit vaccine in general so that you will understand what are these vaccines and why these are required. And now let us come to the IISc's engineered subunit vaccine. So they have produced a protein subunit vaccine, and this is the work that is done by Molecular Biophysics Unit of IISc in collaboration with this private limited, which is a startup company of IISc itself. So they have developed a heat tolerant COVID-19 subunit vaccine. So the vaccine that they have developed, the subunit vaccine, is even heat tolerant, which is again a plus point. And they have done the cloning studies in mammalian cell culture. So they have not used the bacterial or yeast cell, but they have done the studies by cloning it in mammalian cell cultures, and they have compared their results with the yeast grown production. So they have seen that when comparison with yeast grown cultures, the mammalian cell cultures were producing 8-fold increase in the neutralizing antibodies. So this is nothing but the action of the subunit vaccine. So once the vaccine is given to the model, so whether it is a mice model or any other model, the body starts producing antibodies. These are nothing but the neutralizing antibodies. So they have seen that when they have used this mammalian cell cultures for cloning, and the vaccine, the subunit vaccine produced by these cell lines, when used for the models, they have seen that the 8-fold increase in neutralizing antibodies were seen in comparison with the yeast grown subunit vaccines. So in this way, they have seen that the yield in yeast was around 50 in comparison with mammalian cells, which was much higher. So that is why they have seen that the mammalian cell cultures are good enough for culturing this and cloning this particular subunit vaccine. So coming to how is this better? So it is a heat tolerant vaccine. So they have done some studies to see at what temperature it is stable. So they have seen that it is tolerant even at very high temperatures, and it does not require a cold storage for storage. That is because these are freeze dried. So as I told you, these are converted into powders, and they are freeze dried powder, and this is the basics of freeze drying, that any freeze dried powder can be stored at room temperature. So the same concept has been incorporated here for vaccines, and this is definitely going to be a plus point, because the most important drawback in this distribution of vaccines and its use is the storage conditions, because most of the vaccines require low storage conditions, that is very low temperatures, and during transportation and storage this is a very difficult task to manage. So in that way, if you check, this is definitely going to be a good vaccine, and definitely it can be stored at room temperatures also. And they have done some studies and they have proved that it can be stored at 37 degree, and if they store it at this particular temperature, the vaccine is even stable for 4 weeks. So they have already published this in the Journal of Biological Chemistry, which is a Q1 journal with an impact factor of 4.23. So coming to this progress of this vaccine so far, so they have just completed the preclinical trials, and they have done this on the guinea pig model and the mice model, and they have seen that they have got 200-fold higher neutralizing antibodies in mice models in comparison with the human serum of COVID recovered patients. So we know that even plasma therapy is one of the treatment step, but now they have removed it from the treatment measures. So as per ICMR, so here you can see that before we were using this plasma therapy, and they know that once the patient is infected with coronavirus, and his body will start producing antibodies. So there in the blood, definitely in the serum, you will have these antibodies which are specific to COVID in the patient. So when you compare the amount of COVID antibodies in the patient who has recovered from COVID in comparison with this antibodies, there is 200-fold increase here. So that tells you this subunit vaccine is definitely having the higher potential to produce more antibodies in the patients in case it is used in future. So coming to the progress, as I told you, they have only finished the preclinical trials. They are yet to do the safety and toxicity studies, and after which the clinical trials are yet to be done. So more funding is required for this. Approximately they are estimating that they may require 15 to 20 crores for this, and they were capable of arranging only 3 crores as per now. And even they have applied for some grantings also, so that they can manage to arrange this amount which they require. So coming to the storage conditions, as I told you, for few other COVID vaccines. So coming to Covaxin and Covishield, you require 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. Pfizer requires around minus 70 degrees centigrade. Moderna requires minus 20 degrees centigrade, and Sputnik V requires 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. So you can see all of these vaccines required cold temperature for its storage. So definitely only if you store in these particular conditions, the vaccine will be stable and it will give its action, that is trying to show the potential for antibody production in the patients that they want. Okay, so definitely if you want to treat a person with this vaccine, definitely to increase your immunity, to build antibodies in your body, you have to maintain the storage conditions for these vaccines. So but definitely if you have to maintain it, you will require a lot of energy for cold storage, and we know we are already having energy crisis and other issues, so definitely this is going to be a major challenge. So coming to the effect of storage conditions on stability. So I told you storage conditions for any vaccine is very, very important so that it is stable enough and it can show its action, so that once you are vaccinated, definitely your body should start producing antibodies. So that is the purpose of it. So coming to the storage conditions, taking Moderna as an example. So they require -20 degrees centigrade for this particular vaccine for its storage and for its stability. And they tell that once you store it at this particular condition, the vaccine is stable for 6 months. That means till 6 months this vaccine can be used for injecting into the people, so that you are getting vaccinated for this particular infection, so that you do not get this infection. So one more thing is, if you store at 2 to 8 degrees, you can see here. So when the temperature is reduced, the stability decreases. So from 6 months, it is stable only for a month. So definitely during transportation and during other things, if you cannot maintain this temperature properly, and definitely if you are reducing the temperature there, the stability of the vaccine is going to get hampered. And that is why even if you store it for more than a month and you're stored at this temperature, it will not show its efficacy. So that is the most important thing for the vaccine. So they have seen that if you store it at room temperature, it is stable only for 12 hours. So you can see how from 6 months the stability of the vaccine has reduced till 12 hours when it is stored at room temperature. So maintaining appropriate storage conditions is very, very essential for its action. So that is the most important thing, and in comparison to that, we have seen that IAS's vaccines can be stored at room temperature, which is definitely going to be a plus point. So coming to few takeaway messages, it is a heat tolerant variety which can be easily stored at room temperature. They have seen that once they have lyophilized it and used it, it can be tolerant for higher temperatures also, that is around 100 degree when it is lyophilized, and in solution it is tolerant up to 70 degrees centigrade, and it is stable for 4 weeks at 37 degrees centigrade. And it does not require any cold storage infrastructure, which is the most important thing, because when you try to deliver these vaccines to remote towns and villages, if you do not maintain this cold storage, it is going to be a problem. So this problem is not there in this particular condition. And definitely cold storage requires more energy and more money, because these cold storage freezers are not very cheap. There are around freezers with 5 to 6 lakhs investment, and that requires a lot of investment. So it is difficult there, and higher neutralizing antibodies have been seen. So definitely we hope that IASC will arrange the funds which are necessary and finish its clinical trials soon, so that this product will reach the market at early stage. So these are the references that I used for preparation of this slide today. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe the channel for more updates.